morning, gentlemen. Good morning. I need you, each and every one of you, to stand up real quick. I'm going to take a page out of Paul's book. I had this kind of schedule, but he got to it first. That's all right. I need you to repeat after me. I must be.
I must be.
Let's try this again. I must be.
I must be.
I will be.
I will be.
I shall be.
I shall be.
My brother's keeper.
My brother's keeper.
I must be.
I must be.
I will be.
I will be.
I shall be.
I shall be.
My brother's keeper.
My brother's keeper.
Have a seat. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Amen.
As you all know, earlier when Denard introduced Paul and myself, my purpose here is to talk about fatherhood and how important it is in our community. But before I get into that, real quick, I want to talk about how this Reveal Conference came to be. Denard and I met for the first time a couple of months ago. We got a chance to meet up at Barnes & Noble's. And I got a chance to know him through his brother, DeAndre. So as Denard and I were sitting at Barnes & Noble and we were talking about leadership and some other aspects of leadership and life and family, he revealed to me something that I don't believe he ever told anybody else before. Or at least that's how I recall it. So further into the conversation, he said, Chad, I want to put together a conference for men out here. He said, I believe it's time. Actually, he said it's long overdue. It's time for a conference to take place where we can reveal to men who they really are. It's time for us to go out and help enlighten, awaken, and empower these men out here today, young and old. It's time for a revival, y'all. And so as he began to talk about the conference, I got excited. I got really excited because I'm like, you know what? He has a point. Our children need us. We have a generation, almost 2 generations, of young men out here who are lost. They are walking these streets aimlessly and without any kind of hope in their eyes and in their hearts. And if we don't act soon, somebody or something else will. And it's already taken place. The streets would love to have them. They're taking them by the dozens. The gangs would love to have them. The gangs love to give a false sense of hope and love and brotherhood. And when all else fails, well, there's the road to prison. So the odds are stacked heavily against our young children. And we as fathers and father figures, it's time to step back into our roles in the homes, in the communities, in our cities, and take back our rightful positions as fathers. You know, I was doing some research before I got here a couple of weeks ago. And it's kind of alarming. Do you know in every state of the United States of America, except for maybe like a handful, I don't think we lead in this statistic in Utah, but in just about every state in the United States, we as African Americans lead in the statistic of single-parent homes where the father's not present. Now, the good part about it is between 2007 and now, it's starting to diminish only a little. But I say that to say we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of mothers out here playing the dual role, and that's not what they're designed to do. Man and woman were made for reasons. They were designed different for a reason. The woman was the childbearer, the nurturer. That's what mom did. Dad is the provider, the protector, disciplinarian. See, when you walk in what you're supposed to walk in, you create a force field of protection for that child. Think about it. When you have mom and dad in their rightful positions, the child is covered 360 degrees. You have the nurturing, the love from mom. You have the love, the discipline, the providing, protection from dad. child is covered. The child has a balance. When you take away dad, that cornerstone, the foundation is crumbled. And it's been proven statistically. Other statistics show that kids that are in a single-parent home without the dad are 9 times out of 10 more likely to act out in school and at home. The kid is lacking discipline. I'm not saying the mom can't do it. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of single moms out there that are doing a bang-up job. So we got our work cut out ahead for us. But it's time for us, gentlemen, to step back up into the limelight and take our place as rightful kings and fathers and do what we need to do. A lot of you may have children already that your father, and that's great. I have 3 daughters myself. But what I'm charging each and every one of you today is to find another child to pour into who does not have what your child has. A lot of us, it does sound good. I'm glad you said that. And a lot of people say that. And see, a lot of us, we'll do a lot of talking and we'll chat it up. That's very good. We love it. We're all gung-ho. We go back home. Business as usual. It's enough of that. We are going to lose our children and our future if we don't act now. The time is now. Another way I look at fatherhood or being a father figure is mentoring. It's the best way to put it. Reaching out into another child's life. And please understand me when I tell you that mentoring is a lifestyle. It's not a one and done. It is a lifestyle. But it is a lifestyle that we must and we need to do. Now, I'm in the same boat as everyone else. I know I've gone down the street and I've made comments under my breath about some of the young men out there on the street with the pants down or just looking lost. I have done that. And it used to make me so angry to see our young kids out there like that. But then if you continue to think about it, you cannot be angry at the kids because they just simply do not know. They have not been taught. And if you continue to look into that situation, their mothers who had them probably had them at a younger age and they weren't fully taught. So now it's a cycle. But it's not too late to break. It's not too late to break. So let me try to bring this thing home a little bit. There's a young man that I've been mentoring since he was 7 years old. He is now 18. That's why I say it's a lifestyle. It's not a one and done. It's not I'll see you when I see you. It's a commitment. The same commitment you make in a marriage, the same commitment you make when you have your children, the same commitment when you commit to God as being a believer and a follower, the same commitment. Now, I met this young man through his mom. His mom had a daycare, in-home daycare, and we were introduced to her through a mutual friend. So we began to set up a series of meetings because we wanted to meet the lady in her environment and see the other kids and see how it was. This was years ago when I had my firstborn. So, of course, with your firstborn, you're overly protective. You know, you don't trust them with nobody. So, but she was very nice. She had a very great daycare, and some of the other parents that went there, they spoke great reviews about her. But this is when I got to meet the young man that I met. We'll call him Charlie. 7 years old at the time. And so throughout the course, I think we did like 2 or 3 meetings with the lady. And we met the lady. She had 3 daughters and a son, Charlie. Every time we met, I got a chance to talk to Charlie for a little bit. And we clicked just like that. One of the biggest reasons why we clicked is because he's living in a house with 3 sisters and a mom. His dad died when he was way younger. I'm living in a house with my wife and 3 girls. Yeah, don't laugh. Pray for me. Pray for me. So we got a chance to bond real quickly. And every time I would go pick my girls up after I get off work, I would always check in on Charlie and talk to him. And sometimes I would have an opportunity to stay a little longer. We'll sit out on the front porch and we'll talk about school, life, sports, sometimes girls. And this is all the way up from 7 until 18. So as we continued on with the relationship, we went to Falcons games, we checked out Braves games. He came out to the house, we got on the grill. He was like the son I never had. But before he even got really deep into the relationship, his mom could see the connection. And it was one rainy day, I was coming to pick up my girls after work. And I was grabbing the girls, and I was telling everybody hello, and I was chatting with Charlie. And his mom pulled me to the side. She said, Chad, I see how Charlie takes to you. He really likes you. And I said, I really like him too. I said, he's like the son I never had. We have a great time. She said, well, I'm wondering if you would take him in and mentor him. Would you be a father figure or a positive male role model to him? I said, it would be my honor. So I was excited about that. So I went home and I told my wife, she said, you know what? I think that's probably the best thing for you. Probably one of the best things that could ever happen to you. So she was excited for me. So I say all that to say, it's such a blessing to be able to pour into a young child's life. When the child realizes that you're not going anywhere, that's when the bond really clicks. That's when you really get to know the child. Fatherhood is so important, gentlemen. Please understand me when I tell you this. These kids need validation from a positive male role model, from a father figure. Nobody can teach them how to be men. Moms do a great job at raising these young guys. They really do, the best they can. But these children need more. They need that balance. They got to have it. So throughout this relationship, of course, there's some ups and downs, and you get into the teenage years, and you gentlemen all know as well as I do, when you get to a certain age and you playing sports and you working out, like your grandma say, you're smelling yourself. You start to get a little cocky. You know what I mean? I remember when I did that with my dad. I think I was a junior or senior high school. I'm playing football and everything. I'm hitting the weight room hard. I know it's hard to tell now, but I did at one point in time. And I'm thinking, I could take my old man. I'm like, Dad, it's time to sit down. You all know about the pecking order, right? So it's like, now, it's my turn, Dad. You can go ahead and sit down. He said, son, you need to go on in the house. He's changing oil in his car. You need to go on in the house. This was part of my validation process right here, right? So I said, nah, Dad, let's go ahead and handle this. We're in the backyard by now. Let's go ahead and handle this. So I realized where I was in the pecking order in about 1.26453 seconds. When we locked up, and then I woke up, and then I look over, and he's back changing the oil. Yeah. I got to go back into my order. So a similar situation happened with Charlie. He was 16, I believe it was, and he was playing ball and working out. And he was just, and I told his mom, I came over one day, I said, look here, you may want to go on in the house and just don't look out the window. Because if you do, you're going to be like, my baby. No, we don't need that right now, because this is a teachable moment for him. Young men need moments like this where we step in and we teach them. Sometimes they need that tough love. So I said, go on in the house, go watch TV, turn it up, because you might hear something, but everything's going to be fine. Now, for the sake of time, I'm just going to say I handled my business and he was back to where he was supposed to be. But you go through things like that when you're mentoring or when you're raising or pouring into, these young kids. But I say all that to kind of bring it home, because all of this, a lot of times you talk to these kids and it seems like what you're saying or what you're trying to instill in them is just going in one ear and right out the other. It's like water off a duck's back. And I know there's plenty of times I'm telling my wife, I don't know if this kid is going to make it. I really don't. I would never tell him that. But I'm telling my wife, I'm like, I'm doing everything I can to try to show Charlie, try to teach him. But it doesn't seem like he's getting it. But all the while, he is getting it. You got to understand, these kids are going to take it in and process it their way. And we have to be patient enough to let them sit back and let them take it in. See, we've already lived past that age. They haven't gotten to our age yet. So the information that they're getting, they have to process it their way, just like we had to when we were coming up. So the pinnacle of this was about 2 weeks ago. He called me. And he said, "Hey, Unc, I got something to tell you." By now, I graduated to Uncle. So now I'm Uncle Chad. He said, "Hey, Uncle, I got something to tell you." I said, "What's up, baby boy? What's going on? Everything good?" He said, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir." He said, "I got some good news." He said, "I got a couple of schools looking at me. They want me to play ball. I got one school, they want me to fly down to see them this weekend, and then this weekend, and then this weekend." I'm saying, "Charlie, that's great, man. I'm happy for you. I really am. I'm happy for you. But I want you to understand that was not my goal for you in your life. I'm not trying to deter you from playing ball. I want you to live out your dream. But my job is to instill in you morals and values and make sure you get a solid education so you can be a stand-up citizen in this life and be a man of respect and integrity." I said, "But playing ball is good too, don't get me wrong. Use that to get your education." He said, I am, Unc, I plan on it." He said, "But I just wanted to call you and tell you that, and also to tell you, I love you." He said, "Unc, I just want to tell you I love you because I appreciate you taking time out for me." He said, "You did not have to do that." He said, "I appreciate everything that you taught me over these past years." He said, "I know it seemed like I wasn't paying attention." He said, "But I was." He said, "But I had to get it the way I knew how to get it." And he said, "I just want to say I love you for that." I had to mute the phone because that was a moment where, and I'm driving. So that's a moment I just want to pull over and just start shouting, just thanking God. Like he got it. He finally got it. Not only did he turn his life around during this time frame, he went and got saved. We talked a lot about Christ. And I was kind of upset at first at the fact that he did it without me. But I had to understand he had to do it on his time. The fact of the matter is, I did my job. I planted that seed. And that's what we have to do as fathers. We constantly are planting seeds. And then we have to pray and let God take care of the rest. And that's what happened. I remember when he got saved, he came home, he was at a camp in Virginia. And he said, "Unc, I just want to call and let you know I gave my life to Christ." You can't ask for much more than that. So he called me, he said, "Thank you." He said, "I love you, Unc." He said, "I appreciate it." And here's the kicker. He said, "Unc, I remember everything that you taught me." He said, "I live in it every day. It made me a better person. Not only am I doing better, but now I'm mentoring an 8-year-old. He's mentoring a young boy that reminds him so much of himself. And he asked the mother, "Can I mentor him?" Because that young man does not have a father. He said, "Can I mentor him?" And she said, "Of course. He needs somebody in his life." He said, "Uncle Chad, I remember what that felt like. I remember what that felt like." He said, "Before you came into my life, I used to go to baseball games. Mama signed me up to play baseball. And at every game, you would see mom and dads out there." And he said, "Don't get me wrong, it was great to see my mom and my sisters. That was my rock. That's all I had." He said, "But man, it was just something about when you showed up. Something about when you showed up." A lot of fathers are not there for their kids because they're ashamed of their situation, whether it be financial or whatever the case is. But the thing we got to realize, kids don't care about money like we do. Kids just want your time. They just want your time. They just want you to talk to them. Sometimes it's good not to say anything. Just let them talk. Just be a sounding board. And then sometimes it's cool to just put your arm around them and say, little man, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. That's all they want. That's that validation. That's that foundation. That'll bring this thing home. I want to give you a visual about this mentoring and fatherhood. You ever gone to a lake very early in the morning where it's calm? The lake is very placid, cool. The water is just pretty much like still. You ever picked up a rock, threw it in the water, and just watch it go, go, go? And then it hits the water, right? And then at first you have small waves, then they get bigger, bigger, bigger. Where am I going? I'm telling you. When I picked that rock up, that's when I met Charlie. That's when we clicked. When I threw that rock, that was our relationship from 7 to 18. When that rock hit the water, that was the phone call. That's when it came full circle. That's when everything I had poured into him over those years, day in and day out, weekends, holidays, that's when it all came to fruition. When he made that phone call saying, Uncle Chad, I love you. Thank you. Bam! Hit the water. The ripple effect, now he's mentoring. Now he's mentoring. So now I say that to say to you, there's what, 40, 30 of us in here? Instead of that one rock, imagine 30 rocks. Throw them into the water. And watch the effect of those rocks in that water. Don't be discouraged today because it's not a packed house. Remember this. When Jesus walked the earth, he had 12 disciples. It took 12 disciples to change the world. It only took 12. So my charge to you today is that when you leave here, first decide, second commit. We've talked about it long enough. Decide, commit. Find a child and pour into them. Let them know you're going to be there. Because we're losing the race right now, gentlemen. We are losing. We're behind on the backstretch, on the curve. But we can catch up on the straightaway. It's not too late. It's not too late. But the choice is ours to make, and we need to make it now. Decide and commit. I'm going to say this, and I'll go ahead and sit down. The past is our building blocks, so we learn from. Okay? The present is waiting on us to act, and we don't have much time. And the future is watching. The future's watching, trying to see what we're going to do. My name is Chad Baumgartner. You gentlemen have an awesome day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, bro.
Well, you can tell everybody. Yeah, you can tell everybody.